In this interview, I talk with Jason from Duo, a card-based game similar to Cards Against Humanity, but in the crypto space. And it's built entirely on Cardano and is doing some really cool things in increasing the mass adoption of cryptocurrencies. So he talks about his concept, how he came up with it, and the entire game mechanics behind it all, and how it will evolve in the future to try and fulfill that mass adoption of cryptocurrencies via playing the game. Now, if you love this type of content, please make sure you give us that thumbs up, hit the subscribe button, and click on that notification bell, and you hear more from us real soon.
Yeah, gotta do it like that. You've been listening to the Learn Cardano podcast.
I have Jason Toevs, founder of Duo, an experienced software developer in many startups. I looked up your LinkedIn profile. It's quite impressive. You've got a formal background in mathematics. You're part of the Plutus Pioneer program, and you're joining us on the podcast episode here. Jason, welcome.
Thank you so much. I am so excited to be here. It has been a long couple of weeks, but it is always fun to be in this Cardano community, let me tell you.
My God, it's everything's changing. It's really active, and I noticed that you guys have launched your project as well. I've bought one of those packs, not the main black card, but one of the color ones, just to try it out and get into the gameplay. But it's pretty cool. It's really interesting. I didn't get any of the rares, but I got quite a few commons, and no, I didn't get the super rares. I got some of the regular rare ones. So I'm happy with my pack, but I might have to get another one.
Well, thank you so much. First of all, it's so exciting to have you in. And I've got to say, the craziest part about Discord is you never know who's playing the game. So I don't know if yours has been picked as a winner yet in the pre-alpha gameplay or not, or if you've had a chance to play, but we're having a ton of fun and learning so much every single day. We have a huge list of things to dive into here in the coming weeks.
Yeah, well, I haven't won anything yet, but that's okay. We'll get there. Can you explain to the audience a little bit about what Duo is? Just give us that general rundown of what it is, what this game is, and I think you're actually the very first game that I've interviewed on this podcast.
Wow, what a huge honor. So I wanted to share the vision behind Duo because it comes out of my passion for accelerating the adoption of crypto worldwide. I've seen the impact that being a dual citizen of both in the US, Australia, and then also being fairly early in crypto back in 2016, just being able to connect into this decentralized economy around the world where you can do business, you can play games, you can do all sorts of cool things that have real world tangible value with people across cultures, religions, boundaries, borders, all of it. And it happens within this decentralized economy. And so I've been a big gamer. It's been a huge part of my life ever since I was a little kid. And there was something about kind of fusing this like tangible physical card game or board game world into a decentralized economy. And I just remember waking up one night after I was thinking a lot about, what does it look like to create an NFT game and what is a good version of that right out of the gate? And I woke up at 2 a.m. and I just couldn't stop writing down all of the pieces that ended up forming Duo. And so Duo is a card game where you make jokes with friends or strangers across the world. And it's done through a punchline card, which is the color cards, and also prompt cards, which are the black cards in our ecosystem. So each one is an NFT. Somebody puts out a prompt, which is kind of the start of a funny joke or a funny combination of two phrases. And then the punchline comes in and adds its own flair and humor type into the overall joke. So there's 2 cards that get paired together. And then in future gameplay, we're going to be running all sorts of tokenization and a full token economic model behind the scenes to reward players, help players unlock new packs for new players coming into the ecosystem. There's a lot to be done yet, so we're having fun.
All right, we'll dive into more about how that gameplay will change in the future. I'm quite interested in that and how it's actually working at the moment. So it's not just a game though. There's that huge social aspect to it, which is, I think, really key to this, especially if you're trying to drive adoption.
Yeah. Well, I mean, in the decentralized world, it's all about community, right? You don't have a product, you don't have an ecosystem without the people. People are kind of the cornerstone for all of it. And that's where we knew that core gameplay had to be simple, had to be easy to pick up, regardless of what region of the world you're coming from. And it had to be diverse, right? Represent the people behind the screen. So, yeah, that's kind of some of the core foundation blocks, and we love the community.
Now, for me, when I look at it, it screams Cards Against Humanity for me. I'm assuming it's popular over there in the States as well. It's all over the place here in Australia, and many drunken nights playing Cards Against Humanity around a table with a couple of wines and beers and whatnot. It's quite hilarious for what some of the answers that come out. It's very similar to that, isn't it? Just for people trying to visualize it if they've got something to compare to.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that we've seen a lot of people compare it to that. We've certainly heard. I think maybe one of the best descriptions is it's a little bit like mixing Cards Against Humanity with poker and taking out the gambling. So that's probably the funniest maybe that I've heard analogy to Duo. So yes, if you are familiar with Cards Against Humanity, you won't have any problem picking up our game.
Okay. So how do people actually play it at the moment? I've jumped onto Discord and I had a little venture into it. So we have to buy these packs and describe that entire process. What are people experiencing at the moment?
Yeah, and I think it's good to set some context here for why we're doing it the way that we're doing it, which is in all of my years as a software developer and a technical co-founder of startups, the biggest thing that I found is successful is starting small and building out iterations of something that you can test, learn what worked well, double down on that, and then keep building that into kind of the full version of your core product. And so we knew that we could sell these game pieces as NFTs to help build and fund the project. And that's really where the start of Duo began just a couple of weeks ago. And we had, built out some of these core concepts and core gameplay prior to that, but we launched our minting process for creating the two types of NFTs, the two types of cards, the black cards and color cards. And so there's two types of gameplay there. Black cards are more rare by nature. There's only 5,000 of those in our Genesis deck. And then color cards, there's 50,000. So it's kind of a 1-to-10 ratio. And the color cards are the active gameplay, whereas the black cards are more of a passive. You put your black card into play and then you earn kind of passive rewards off of that over time. So the way that we're simulating that right now is through a very simple version of our gameplay via our own Discord channel right now. Now it's about to expand through a Discord bot to other Discord channels. So it can be something that any Cardano community, any crypto community really can spin up a Discord bot in their own channel and then actually play Duo through that Discord bot. So we'll have that running in multiple different channels where these communities can engage with their audience, with their community members with this game. And that's kind of the next iteration before we get into really the meat of development, which is full web app based gameplay for mobile devices as well as computers online. And that would be kind of a full version, moving from our pre-alpha version now into alpha next year. And then later next year, having a full release out of alpha once we understand how the token economics work.
That's really cool. I love that Discord bot. I absolutely love that idea because, you see in all these Discord communities, people trying to engage with their users in all sorts of really creative ways. And to have just a channel where we can actually interact with each other and play a game, I'm assuming other Discord members would buy some of these cards and just interact with it. That's really cool. That's a good way to keep people on board. And I'm guessing when you're jumping from Discord community to other ones, you can play your cards as well and join in on some of the gameplay there.
Yeah, I mean, we've noticed, and we knew this would happen, right? Which is the real limiting factor on gameplay right now is, we've got, I know there's some days where we've have 20, 30, 40 people posting cards in our own Discord channel on just one black card for the day. And part of it is we have a limited bandwidth as a startup team, and making sure that we can give a good example of this is working, learn what isn't working, improve on that, and then scale that up to more channels. So if you could imagine, let's say there's 20 communities using the Duo Discord bot by the end of the year, and you as somebody within our ecosystem as a player can play up to 20 of your color cards every single day on all of these different community channels. It gives you a reason as a player to go out and check out what's new in each one of these communities. It gives each of those communities an opportunity to engage their players and then share, like, hey, here's other Cardano ecosystem channels that are happening, right? Whether it's this crypto project or that one, whether you're a hardcore gamer and you're just jumping through all of the different games, or if you are, you're really engaging. And so that's part of our pitch as well to these Discord channels is, this is a way to engage your community, provide your own rewards out to the winners on a daily or weekly basis. We're trying to keep those parameters as open as possible. And then for us, we'll be giving out weekly rewards in the form of new cards that you can use within the game.
Absolutely brilliant. Sign me up.
Well, you already play it, it sounds like. So it's just going to be more of that.
I just want our own community members to either like jump over to your Discord, play as well, or drive it into ours so that we can do little offers and giveaways as well within the Discord channel. So that's really cool. I absolutely love that. I didn't realize you guys were doing that.
Yeah, and this is what's really hard for us is there's only so many hours of the day, and how much can we build and work on. And we're getting better at communicating. We've had some things going on this week that have tied us up a little bit more than we had hoped, but we should be hitting it pretty heavy next week with some new information. Some of this is going to be brand new, so you guys get it first. Congratulations! Brilliant.
So, do you know how many people are actually playing at the moment, and how many installing this Discord bot and getting it out to other communities? What type of growth rate are you looking at, and how many players are you aiming for this initial phase?
Yeah, I mean, man, it's hard to measure players in the sense of wallet addresses are unique, but not necessarily unique to the player. If I had to estimate, I would say we've got close to 100 players that can be playing Duo. Not all of them are playing Duo on a daily basis, but we've seen pretty good engagement rates of, I think 12, 13% of our total server sites playing the game on a at least multiple times a week in our own channel. So we're hoping to obviously scale that. I think we've got 630 some in our Discord channel right now. Yeah. So still early days, but we hope to try and increase that up to a few thousand by the end of the year. I think we'll be able to get there.
Yeah, I think you'll be able to as well. So what is the gameplay going to look like in the future? You said you're going to do the full web experience and mobile as well. Can you paint a picture and describe what that may look like? Is it a full interactive web app that we will be able to play with? And then how does that translate over to mobile, which I'm assuming is where a majority of users may come from?
Yeah, so I don't want to make too many promises ahead of our entire dev roadmap yet, but
but you got a vision.
Yeah, so here's the macro, here's the big stuff, and then how we get there, we'll figure it out. So ultimately, this idea was born out of a really fun dynamic relationship with my barista every morning, right?
Ah,
Trying to explain crypto in like 30-second to 3-minute, um, conversations as you're waiting for your coffee. And one of the things I noticed was, how do you help somebody who has no concept of kind of this world of crypto see the value in it? And I said, okay, you play games on your phone at some point. Imagine if, as you're playing that game on your phone, let's say it's 30 minutes a day, an hour a day, what if you could take the value of your time being spent in that ecosystem, in that game, and you could convert it into dollars, or your local currency, in which you could buy your coffee every day? Wouldn't that be cool? And
sounds brilliant to me.
right. So they started to like I see that this exchange of time and attention that we spend on our phones all day long, every day, and it's either entertainment, this, social media, that, work, projects over here. How do we take the value of this network of people who are engaging every single day in the entertainment side of it, right? So gaming or social media, and how do we help convert that into real world value that you can buy your coffee, buy some beers, or even pay your rent? And the core gameplay with Duo is creating these game pieces that are easily accessible or scalable across different languages, different cultures, different regions of the world, right? It had to be very simple gameplay that we build off of, and then something that can scale beyond just, my experience in English as a native language. How do you translate it to Spanish? How do you go to Russian? How do you go to all of these different languages and build up something that everybody can participate in a very dynamic way? So simplicity was key. And the core gameplay had to include friends. It had to include this group of people that you play with. So what I would say a traditional round of Duo could feel like in alpha gameplay, and then ultimately full gameplay next year, is you and 9 other people, so 10 people into a room, get together. Now, maybe this is a group of your friends, maybe it's a group of strangers, or a combination. You enter into a match. And in this match, you have all of your color cards that you can play. On your phone or on your computer, you can see 5 black card options. These are pulled out of a pool of available black cards that their owners have put up into active gameplay. And you, as a little group of 10, get to vote on which black card are you going to play on for that round. And let's say one black card gets 60% of the vote, another one gets 30%, and another one gets 10%. We then take those 3 cards and we would do a weighted dice roll, meaning that the 10% could still get in as the card that you're playing on, but it's most likely going to be the one that had 60% of the vote. So let's say it is the one that had 10% of the vote. You're playing on that black card. Now that owner is assigned into that match with that black card. And then you have these 10 color card players playing on that black card. And they each put a token or some value. I'll use numbers here, but don't hold me to them because they'll change. You put a token into gameplay. And so every color card owner puts 1 token in. Builds a pot of 10 tokens on the color card side. And the black card player also puts up 10 tokens as a security deposit. That basically says, I'm going to finish the round and pick a winner within the round time. If I don't, I lose those 10 tokens and they get distributed out to the color card players to reward them for a dead round, basically. And within that, the black card owner ultimately is going to pick a winner within the overall round time. Now that may be an hour, maybe a day. Right now, we're kind of playing round times around a day. We believe that will shorten down over time. But the black card player picks a winner, and then they get their 10 tokens back. And the color card that won gets all 10 tokens of that pot, right? So it's kind of the color card players are competing against one another to create that best match, that best pairing. But then it's really subjective to the black card owner. What do they want? Maybe they only vote for common cards, right? Maybe they only vote for the super rare signature cards. Maybe it's just dark humor that they like, or maybe it's a witty humor that they like. So it's going to be really interesting over time to see how the community starts to map all of that out to say like, oh, well, these wallets only vote for dark humor and these wallets only vote for X, Y, and Z. But trying to keep that as fast paced as possible. A round will probably only be around 3 minutes long. A match. A match will be about 3 minutes long. And so you can, kind of stack a bunch of matches to where you submit your color card and then you go to the next match, or you pick another black card, submit a color card. And then at the end of the hour, you would have a roll up of, hey, here's all the matches that you won for this round. And as a color card owner, you could see which ones are performing well. So this means if you've got 20 color cards in your hand and you can play those in 20 matches over the hour, that kind of be filling up your hour, but you should be able to get that done. So that's a vision of gameplay. Feel free to ask me questions because I know it's complex to kind of talk through it.
No, it makes sense. So we can see where some of the tokenomics or the token economics of the game come into it as well. So that was one of the interesting things. Like, I was going to ask, where did that come in, and how do people earn to play? Because the earn to play model is brilliant. It's an exchange of your time and effort of playing the game for so long and actually earning it back and buying your coffee, as you said. So it sounds very basic in how it works, and I think people can really understand that quite well.
Yeah, and I mean, we wanted to keep the two types of gameplay. So like, we know there's some gamers who just want to play like constantly, maybe for an hour or 2 hours at a time. And they want to have fun with friends or like hop into a lobby. It's meant to be something that can be competitive over time, but really is what's kind of a filler with a group of your friends, right? Or a group of strangers that you get to meet. Maybe someday we get full voice comms. Maybe we just use Discord early on to kind of fulfill that. But the goal is that it's almost like this community engagement type of deal. Now, you can be sitting and chatting and laughing at all the different combinations that are being had, but then also get to have some bragging rights at the end of the day. Oh, I beat you on this one, or I remember that game. That guy was totally crazy, and like I can't believe that card won. Or we saw like the super rare card. It was the first time it had ever been used in gameplay. Like, there's some really cool things that you can do over time with that type of community. And so the black card player really is the passive one. And I forgot one piece of the token economics there, which is the black card player is the source of new tokens being created into gameplay from our treasury, which is if you complete a round, you get a small reward every time you complete one of those rounds. So if you've got 5 black cards that you're completing rounds every hour, you get 5 times that reward every hour being distributed back to you.
I see. Because the black card costs so much more, I was looking on the website. It's 125 ADA at the moment. So I was wondering how that black card actually benefited from the gameplay. If they're only putting in 10 tokens and they only get them back at the end of it, where does the extra tokens come from? So what's the benefit of actually buying it? So that explains it.
Well, and there's one other element. I'm not quite sure. I don't want to get too far ahead of myself on this, but I have talked about this element before, which is black card players are also going to be a source, maybe the source to begin with, but certainly a source of unlocking new cards for new players. Because in our Genesis collection, or our 2021 collection, our Genesis deck, we only have 55,000 total cards. So 5,000 black cards, 50,000 color cards that we're selling in packs of 10. So if everyone gets 1 black card and 10 color cards, and there's about 5,000 players really at max that we think we could have. Now that's not a lot of players. And so what happens when people want more cards, more players want to come on? We want to make sure that the cost of cards doesn't get so outrageous and crazy on the secondary market. Yes, to be able to support super rares or like specific card types, text that you want to have or collect. But ultimately, we do want to keep the cost of entry lower. So if you look at games like Axie Infinity, they got really out of control because their NFTs were so expensive. And part of that was gas fees, which we don't have to worry about as much on Cardano. But also the ability to say, how do we incentivize our players to create or at least unlock the new game pieces for the next wave? So instead of us coming and just dropping deck after deck and new collection after new collection, being the primary sale owner, what if we partnered with our users? We created the content and allowed them to unlock and receive the majority of the rewards for selling those packs of cards out into the network. And so I think that's probably the approach that we're going to take, where certainly our players, whether it's a black card player who's setting their black card aside or staking it somehow, gets to unlock a new pack of cards that they sell out into the secondary market. And maybe we only take a small portion of that primary transaction. And then for us, it's just about facilitating an ecosystem and a marketplace for these players to engage with. So we want to connect the way that we get paid around really small transaction fees on managing that network. So we only get paid if we're doing our job and helping grow the ecosystem, provide tools and a marketplace that facilitates a great community.
That's really cool. I really hope you do implement that. I love the incentivization model of that, so that you're not dumping the cards onto the ecosystem. So I found with other projects, if they're doing multiple releases, so they do one big release, a second release, each time they do a release, the value of the first cards completely drops. And me as a holder of those cards or NFTs, whatever they may be, it's like, oh, this is really disappointing. I was doing so well in secondary markets and my collection was looking brilliant, but that second drop and then the third drop that comes along just absolutely ruins the floor price of those NFTs. So that's a really cool way and a really, really nice way to involve the community in that process as well. So I absolutely love that idea.
Well, and I think it's, I mean, what do we know about all of these crypto projects or cryptocurrencies even? They follow a user adoption curve better than anything else. And so it is a product of like, how do we get more users into gameplay? Also fits our core vision of accelerating the adoption of crypto. How do we get more users in, but also provide our existing users the value upside of exactly what you said? That first collection, that first deck should be growing in value over time because, oh, by the way, it's the only NFTs that get you access to alpha gameplay. If you want to play alpha, you want to understand how the token economics work. If you want the earliest access to the actual tokens themselves, you better be in alpha gameplay. And then beyond that, it's how do these give me a unique advantage to create new cards, which are also a source of income or revenue. If you are, creating new cards for the ecosystem, you're providing the ecosystem value by creating new game pieces for new players coming in. And then it's a matter of, can we coordinate and balance things to the best of our ability from the economic standpoint, the game theory standpoint, and then core gameplay and how it's facilitated to have a slower growth model in the sense of not pump and dump, but something that is a more sustainable growth model. We tried to do this by actually minting earlier than maybe we were initially ready for, because we knew if we gained too many people in a Discord channel, our biggest risk was that whales would come up and buy 20-30% of the collection and then really have a stranglehold on the secondary market. And so we've chosen to release them in a couple of ways. We did some interesting technology things in the back end to basically be creating them as they were being minted. So we stayed a little ahead of it.
Yep.
But we also, we had some whale protection in that worked really well. And maybe other projects want to use that kind of stuff too.
Right. Well, just to go further on that, what is the whale protection? Like, how are you blocking this? It sounds like you're not using something like a NFT Maker Pro. You built something yourself to do the distribution here.
Yeah, it's kind of a hybrid system in the sense that the first thing we wanted to do was a whitelist. So we whitelisted some of our earliest community members, and then monitored that whitelist. And only once those individuals had been able to purchase and buy the cards that they wanted, then we would open it up to kind of the rest of the ecosystem. And so now what we have is an ongoing live minting process that does use kind of that traditional vending machine model. But we've also set up a process of queuing on the back end. So if you're trying to run like 1,000 transactions through all at once, we're not necessarily going to bog down the chain like other projects would. And part of that was, as we were starting to create them on that opening weekend, we also said, let's just stay a little bit ahead of the actual minting process. So if supply gets fully met at some point, we can build out the queue of people who are in line to get the next set of NFTs, and then, you know, create the NFT. Upload the NFT up to the vending machine, then mint the NFT out. And so it's kind of a double delayed cycle there.
Yeah. Cool. Totally.
Maybe it wasn't the smartest thing to do, but it worked. So,
well, if it works, it works. It's and if it scales, that's even better.
Yeah.
Now, what was I going to say? Lost my train of thought.
I'm sure it was good. I'm sure it was good.
It was, and I'll come back to it. Oh, that's right. Yep. So with the mass adoption, so you're going for the regular consumer that is going to play the game and earn rewards for playing. How is their experience going to look? So for example, I would love my dad to be able to play something like this. And you know, he's a okay user on a mobile phone. And all of these NFTs require wallets. It requires some sort of security there. How is someone like he going to jump on and play this game? Would he have to install a wallet somewhere to store his NFTs? Will the actual game itself store the NFTs for him and keep them secure and locked away? What happens if he deletes the game? How I'm making it really hard for you here. How is someone like him going to be able to play this game and not deal with all of this security stuff, NFTs, wallets, and everything else?
Yeah, so I think there's a lot of questions there. The primary experience that we want for somebody who is brand new coming into crypto, because today it's like, all right, what wallet do I get? Is it Yoroi or Nami? Why can't I see my NFTs? Like, how do I get ADA into there? What does that whole process look like? There's a lot of steps, even just doing that. So we know the early players, let's say it's the first, you know, couple of thousand players in Duo, are probably going to be people who are familiar with that. And maybe 5 to 10% of our players will go through that process for the first time. And they'll learn it. It'll be hard. Hopefully we have good enough and improving documentation around that process. But ultimately, we want to own the full life cycle for that customer. So it's a very, I don't know, Apple-esque approach to say, you'll have an app on your phone. You'll have a wallet that is built in for this specific game. Ultimately, that could maybe represent other games that want to run through that ecosystem. If other developers are out there who don't want to figure out the token economics, or maybe they want some tooling that is geared specifically for NFT gaming, we're actually working on a lot of the tooling in the background, because even in my experience in kind of a traditional Web 2.0 co-founder that has had a lot of technical teams, it's surprising to me how fast crypto is growing, and yet how limited there are tools or resources available for this ecosystem. And so we identified some areas that we think we can provide a lot of value to the overall community by just saying, hey, look, we're going to go do NFT gaming and build the tooling out for ourselves, and then also make that available for others who believe in the same vision as us. And part of it was we had a couple of proposals for some Fund 6, actually, that would open source some of that. Unfortunately, those weren't funded. We'll probably have another stab at it in Fund 7 or Fund 8. But we do want to provide access to others in the community who see value in being able to learn from the model that we're learning from right now. Open sourcing as much of that is responsible, but also making sure that we have a gameplay for the end user that feels like I open up my phone, I download an app, I can either buy some NFTs right there, I can get gifted NFTs right into that app. Maybe I start with some NFTs that are kind of freebie trial stuff that get burned automatically after a period of time. I don't know. But be able to experience the game in less than 3 minutes. So if you can get in, create an account, get into a game in less than 3 minutes, that's when we know we're really hitting our stride.
Yeah, definitely. I really hope you can meet those goals, and especially, hopefully, fingers crossed, funding in Fund 7 for some of this tooling that you're putting out there. I know as a web developer myself, I rely on Node Package Manager to give me all these sweet tools and all this code that someone else has done for me, so I can just follow the latest trendy tutorial on how to build something new. Just go npm install, bang, done. There we go. Yep. Everything's done and tested. So if you guys develop the point where you have all these packages for people to download and just install and get developing, beautiful, brilliant. Yeah, please do it. Get more gaming out there, especially if it's around Cardano as well. That would be really, really cool.
Yeah. Well, and it's a young ecosystem still too. So we're going to be learning. It's going to be a lot of hard work. Don't get me wrong. And I don't know that we'll get down to a click install 3-minute gameplay for a while, maybe a couple of years. But I think we'll maybe be able to have a 5-minute workflow, pretty short term. Because it is keep it simple, engage the user in that gameplay that is fun and repeatable, and they can play with friends.
You say keep it simple, but from this conversation, this interview, you've found and made this as complex as possible for you to actually develop the game. It's like for me in the end, all I'm doing at the moment is just jumping on Discord, putting in a card, brilliant, fantastic, and eventually when you build up the app, it sounds quite easy and straightforward for me as well. But you've created a whole lot of work, a whole lot of pain for yourself, and you're a co-founder to actually go through all this and develop the game.
Yeah, I mean, it's certainly not small, but this vision is built for helping other game makers too. And so if we don't have a robust enough model, and some tooling that we do ourselves, and we know that we could license out, open source, whatever that looks like. If it's not somewhat complex, then it won't account for as many potential use cases as possible. And I think for us, it is making sure that we take off the right bite-sized chunks along the way. To adopt really that lean methodology or that agile methodology within development, and know, when do we kick a feature down the road because it doesn't hit that core vision of accelerating the adoption of crypto, and maybe it stands as a roadblock or a barrier for us to do that. So I don't know. We're wide-eyed and bushy-tailed right now because we're at the beginning of this journey, but it'll be fun to have a chat again in another year and see how far we've come.
Hopefully in a year's time, I've got it on my phone. Wishful thinking, I know. And I've got all these extra colored cards on my deck, and, I'm earning all this stuff so I can pay for my coffees. That's the ideal vision that I'm seeing here for myself. Now, there's just a couple more things I want to cover. So the smart contract layer, the smart contract parts of this, I'm assuming you're building a little bit of smart contracts in there, maybe your own secondary marketplace for this. Is the gameplay itself interacting with smart contracts? Like what's your vision there? Because I can see you doing it without smart contracts. I can see you don't necessarily need it. So I'm assuming you're going to tap into it somewhere.
A simple start would be to use the least amount of complex smart contracts as possible. So yeah, maybe there's a version that we start without a lot of smart contracts for gameplay. But I think as that ecosystem grows, develops, and matures, we'll be able to use smart contracts in a really clever ways that, you know, some of it's been mapped out, some of it is we'll learn along the way, to where we can facilitate a fun, simple gameplay for the first time user, like your dad, my mom, those types of users who want to just have some fun. But then also a really like complex, deep tier of competitive gameplay. And I think that this is where you're going to see, my hope and my goal would be to see at least one or two or a few people out there who can actually make a living off of Duo by helping onboard new Duo players, not by basically taking advantage of other Duo players, but the core incentive being, you're helping us grow the community. You're a key contributor and you know this game better than anybody else, maybe even us, because you play it all the time. How do we give you enough value to keep doing that? I remember as a kid, I would like kill for that opportunity, and competitive games didn't really become a thing until, you know, I was well into my career. And even then I was just never good enough, or never could put the hours in to grind to be good enough.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, brilliant. Now, there's some other aspects that I looked over on your website, and you mentioned the interoperability aspects of the game and also governance as well. Can you talk a little bit about both of those?
Yeah, so I think this is probably the least defined element that we have internally. So I'll spend the least amount of time on it. But in general, we're looking at how do we take what we learn from our NFTs, our core game tokens, the governance of those game tokens, like in-game in the network. Our goal and our desire is to be a decentralized gaming network. So if you think of a great example, be like the Steam marketplace. They just announced they're banning all NFT games. No games can run through Steam if they want to sell their game, if they have NFTs involved. Really bold move. I think it was a really bad decision. But imagine a marketplace that has learned from Valve creating their own game back in the day, Half-Life, using the tools that they created to build out Half-Life and to sell it. What if those tools are made available to other game makers, and not for astronomical rates of like, oh, we're going to take 30% of your game and 30% of your game. But what if you could do it in a way that encouraged other games to launch on some of the same tooling that you're using? So when they're meeting success, when they're seeing their game sell out, then we as a partner in that process also get a portion of it. So I think looking at the interoperability between games and game pieces within games. So, okay, what does that ecosystem look like when now my Half-Life gun or my Portal gun can be used in Halo, right? What does that feel like and look like to a user? And that's a much more complex example than just cards in a game. But imagine if you're running around in cornucopias and you could all of a sudden sit down and play a game of Duo right there in a market square.
Yeah.
Pretty cool.
Okay. Yep. Cool. That's really cool. So. All right. Absolutely brilliant. Now, it's been a really cool interview. I've learned a lot about the project and a little bit more about how everything works. Now, people can start minting and playing the game themselves. Can you tell us a little bit about how they can actually get their own cards? How can they get one of these black, and how they can get a deck of the colors?
Yeah, so right now, if you go to www.getduo.gg, you can get a snapshot of what our project looks like right now. You can we've got our policy IDs there so that you can always verify that you're getting the right NFTs and that they're valid. You can choose black cards or color cards to send ADA to a wallet address. And then we have this vending machine system that sees that transaction comes in. we pick cards at random out of our pool and send those to you. So right now we've seen people pulling some really cool super rare or signature cards. I'm sorry that you didn't get any in that first deck. We've seen some pretty wild collections of rarity in some of those packs. So it's a lot of fun, but it's 40 ADA for a color card pack of 10. There's 10 cards that will be active gameplay pieces, gets you access to alpha gameplay. And so once we have a full alpha gameplay, this will be our first interaction, probably via a web game format. You'll be able to participate in that and also get kind of the first access to the tokens that we use within the gameplay system. And then the black cards are 125 ADA a piece, and you can buy those. It's a separate wallet address that you send a 125 ADA to, and then same process happens. Pick one at random and send it into your wallet. And yeah, there's some roadmap content there. We're actually going through a website overhaul right now. It was mostly just to get the word out and get people interested in what we're working on, but we're adding a lot more information into it over the coming weeks. So keep an eye on that. Please jump into the Discord community. That's where we already have an automated process to where you can view the cards that you've created. Sometimes wallets don't have the best support for showing off your NFTs. So right within our own Discord and any channel, you can, there's some instructions into how to view the cards that you've minted. So you can just add your wallet address in there. It'll show you the black cards that you have. It'll show you the color cards that you have. And then you can copy those links into our pre-alpha gameplay every single day and get in the race to earn more color cards if you are typing in your own response, or you can also earn some ADA right now for putting in one of your existing cards. So come play.
All right, brilliant. I do have some really cool punchline cards, so it's I will throw them
now.
Into the mix.
Now I'm going to be scratching my head as to which person you are in our Discord. This is what's so wild. Is like nobody really uses their other online identifiers in Discord, and so like I have no clue. Like I had people here locally who I didn't even realize knew that I had done this in Discord talking to me, and I'm like,
Who
you know
are
so
you?
much about me. Like what?
How do you know this?
Oh yeah. Did I just talk to you somewhere? Who is this?
Oh, that's really cool. All right. I'll be hanging around the Discord more. And if anyone wants the links to this, they're all in the show notes down below. You can get to the website. You can get to the minting process there, and also the link to the Discord, so everyone can jump in and start playing this really cool NFT game on Cardano.
Yeah, and if you think of other communities that you'd like to see Duo in, let me know and let them know.
Oh, definitely the podcast community. It's I can see people playing it straight away. Jason, it's been an absolute pleasure having you here on the podcast. It's been enlightening and very exciting.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate the time, and I hope you have a fantastic weekend ahead of you.
So what do you think? Leave a comment down below and let me know what you think of this idea and concept. Check out the links to the website and check out their Discord as well. All the links are down below. And check out our Discord. We're eventually going to get the game integrated into our Discord server. Again, links are in the show notes, but you'll be able to play on multiple different Discord servers wherever this game is being hosted, and earn a little bit of extra rewards on the side for playing it. So if you're engaged with a whole bunch of different communities on Discord, why not throw in some cards and earn some extra perks that way? Anyway, if you really enjoyed this content, please make sure you give us that thumbs up, click subscribe, and hit the notification bell and hear from me more. Hear more from me soon? Yeah, you hear more from me soon.
Yeah, gotta do it like that. You've been listening to the Learn Cardano podcast. Gotta get it hype. Crypto is what we like, but this is not investment or financial advice. Gotta do your research, cause it's risky. We know it is. This show is educational and it's informative. Crypto's the future, really, it ain't no debate.